I like to preface every talk that I am a hippie from California. And in California, we believe in deep breaths to help us visualize things. So I'm going to get real weird for just a second, and I'm going to ask everybody to close their eyes. And remember, I can see you, so if your eyes aren't closed, I'm going to call you out. Everybody close your eyes. I'd like you to take a very deep breath in, a very deep breath out. All right, now I would like you to imagine how much you did in revenue last year. I want you to visualize that number in your head. You got it? Take another deep breath in, another deep breath out. Okay, now I would like you to imagine if you could add that number to your bottom line. What would that look like for you? What would that look like for your family? What would that look like for your team? What would that look like for your community? Take another deep breath. Let it out. Open your eyes. Okay, everybody feeling a little more clear? Can you picture money? Anybody want to share what they saw when they closed their eyes? Freedom. What did that look like, though? It was a visualization. What did that look like? Did it look like a hammock?
Vacation time with family.
Yeah. Amen. This is what it looks like for me. Yeah. Anybody else? Does it look like Disneyland? Kids' college? A boat? A vacation home? A new home? Anyone? What does it look like?
I'd retire. I'd be done working.
You'd be done working. How old are you?
35.
35. What would you do when you're done working?
Oh, travel, for sure.
Okay, so it looks like travel. Airplane.
Young kids, and obviously they'd stay in school and stuff, but as much as we could, we'd get out and see the world.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else? All right, go ahead and have a seat. I put some paper on your table. You're going to separate it and share it. But I'd like us to go back just a couple here. I'd like you to start by writing down on that piece of paper a relevant number to your company for last year. So gross revenue, net profit percentage. In our chat on the app, there's a lot of net profit percentages in there, and they're really high and healthy. So can everybody write down a number on your piece of paper that represents last year that's relevant to you? We're going to talk about KPIs today, and I'm going to give you a lot of other examples related to numbers. But first, we need to know where we're starting. Everybody have a number written down? Okay, so for today's exercise, I'm an accountant. I brought my calculator, so I'm going to do all the math for you because I know we had a long night, and I know it's an early morning, and I know nobody likes to talk about accounting. And we're going to use an example of a company that's doing $100,000 a year. Can everybody remember when they did $100,000 a year? I have nothing. No hands? Nobody remembers? It's so long ago, you're so wildly successful, you can't feel it anymore? So these two remember. You're the only two in this whole room that remembers $100,000. My husband Jeff's in the room. Jeff, do you remember when it was $100,000? Yeah. Colin, Colin's still here, do you remember when it's $100,000? It's going to help us if you guys can remember this. Okay, how many people worked for you when it was a $100,000 company? One. Just you? Maybe a helper? Partner? Yep. Same? Just you? $100,000? Yeah? Okay. Everybody else? One person or one person and a helper? All right, good. That's helpful. That's going to keep us in the same place. So, if we had a $100,000 company, what I'm going to show you today is how you can actually double that company and keep the profits in your pocket. So we're going to use the example of a $100,000 company today, and I'd like you to write down what you would do with an extra $100,000 on your piece of paper. $100,000, what would you do with it?
We're talking profit or sales?
Both.
Okay. Okay.
You'll see, I promise.
Double your price. Okay.
Everybody have something on a piece of paper? Now read it out, because I saw lots of people writing, so I'd like somebody to shout out what they're going to do with an extra $100,000. More marketing. Tommy, how about you? You're nodding. Yeah. Yeah.
I think reinvesting in my business.
In what?
People.
People. Okay. Andrew, do you have something written down? You're working on it? How about Jaron? Anything? An extra truck? Oh, that's right, you almost bought a truck on Wednesday, right? Okay, Jaron's buying a new truck. Anybody else gonna buy a new truck with $100,000? Property. Cool. How about you? You had your hand up?
Better shop.
A better shop. An upgrade. I like it. Okay, so we talked about what it looks like for us, right? Does anybody else's look like this? Hammock on a beach? Okay, now let's remember how that felt. You said freedom, sir. Freedom to me is a true feeling, and I'm an accountant that talks more about feelings than I do about numbers, but this feeling of peace, this feeling of being able to breathe, this feeling of not feeling anxious and stressed about payroll, about my suppliers' costs going up, about gas going up, about kids' tuition going up, right? To me, freedom means I can breathe. I have space to make decisions. I have space to make choices. That's what freedom feels like for me. So does this resonate? Does freedom feel like that to you? Zen? Calm? Would anybody like a little bit more financial freedom in their life? Yeah, good. Okay, so my name is Meaghan Likes. I'm the founder of Bookkeeping Academy Online. My passion is educating and empowering business owners to know numbers so that they can live more financially rewarding and free lives. That's what I do now. I also own a full-service accounting company called Likes Accounting Company, and we do bookkeeping and fractional CFO services for home service businesses. And I'm passionate about this because I also own a window cleaning and gutter cleaning company with my husband Jeff. This is photographic evidence of maybe 1 out of 3 times I've washed a window in my life. The second was when I won the 3rd fastest female window cleaner in the world in 2020. Very proud of that. Yeah, thank you. Don't ask me how many women were competing. The answer may or may not have been 3, but I'm very proud of my 2nd place award. And please forgive me, but we do not install gutters. So I'm going to be speaking from my place of reference that has to do with the repair and maintenance side of your gutter installing businesses for gutter cleaning. Okay? Also, please remember I come from California, where we're very densely populated, and we're able to charge really high tickets. Okay, so we're going to not do the calm thing where we say not in our market, but when I sound like a crazy person, just remember I'm from California, so don't hold it against me. Okay, so today's topic is how a $100,000 business, which only 2 of us in the room remember having, but how a $100,000 business can make an extra $100,000 a year in sales without spending an extra dollar in expenses, which means that goes straight to the bottom line. Okay, we're in the right room? Are we still awake? Okay, I like to just give you the answers before we start talking. That way, if you have to leave or find me boring or if you fall asleep, you know how to do this. So step 1 is we raise our prices. Okay, can everybody raise your hand if you have raised your prices this year? There we go. That was better. Okay, can you raise your hand if you raised your prices twice this year? Thank you. Where are my suppliers in the room? How many times have you raised your prices this year?
7 to 10.
7 to 10? I mean, I'm not calling you out on that. We all have rising costs, right? Okay, so raising our prices is going to be step 1 to building more profitable business. Bundling our services is going to be step 2. Raise your hand if you offer more than one service with your company. Okay, good. Step 3, optimizing our routes. Now, I realize when you're doing installation, routes aren't as important a thing for you, but for those service and maintenance contracts, it is a big deal, especially with gas prices the way they are. So these are the 3 steps to running a more profitable business, in my opinion. The most basic ones, the lowest hanging fruit, and things that you can actually take action on during this hour of learning. So step 1 of raising our prices, I realized we can't start there. So I met a woman named Ellen Rohr. Has anybody heard of Ellen Rohr? The plumber's wife? Yep, my service Titan folks love Ellen, right? And Ellen wrote a really good book, and it's called How Much Should I Charge? And when I read this book, I realized I can't tell you to raise your prices if you're not starting from the right place. If you're not priced correctly, so I had to add a step 0. So raise your hand if you know that you're priced correctly, with confidence. A much smaller percentage, right? Isn't it a little scary? I've been talking a lot about pricing this weekend in terms of how do you know, Colin said what he charges per linear foot. And that's good when we know what we should charge per linear foot. But the next question is, well, how much does it cost us per linear foot? And that's where people get stuck. So calculating our break-even point is so important. Who knows their break-even point? I like it. It's like 5% maybe, and it's changing, right? Every day, every week, definitely every month. So when I ask you if you've raised your prices more than once this year, and we know that your suppliers have raised them 7 to 10 times, whose pocket does that come from? Yours? Yeah? Your teams? Your communities? It has to come from somewhere. So people feel weird about raising prices. They don't like talking about being greedy, or I can't believe you can charge that much, or I can't believe you are charging that much, or you're a crook, this is highway robbery, can't believe you're getting prices like that. And the reality is, when you read Ellen's book, which is actually the story of a woman who wants to start painting murals for a living, I'm thinking, how can I apply mural painting to my window thinning and gutter thinning business? And the reality is, all of us have costs associated with our business. We're exchanging time for money most of the time, and we don't actually have a good handle on how much we should be charging per hour for particular things. So calculating our break-even point helps us realize, like, for every dollar we spend, how much does it cost us? Every dollar we make, how much does it cost us? So I like to think about factoring in my profit percentage when this book is very sensitive, sorry. When I'm thinking about my break-even point. So if you know your break-even point, I'm going to challenge you, when was the last time you looked at it? And hopefully it was last month. If it was last year, we're already 4 months behind, right? So I want to challenge you to think about your break-even point, look at it on a regular basis, and then don't forget to factor in your profit. I'm going to show you some statistics today, and it's really interesting when we talk about raising our prices to keep up with inflation or raising our prices to keep up with our suppliers, we often forget to raise our prices to keep up with our profit percentages and our profit goals. So we're going to get through that. And here's the Ellen Moore book. Ooh. What should I charge? Did everybody write that down? It's about 80 pages. You can read it in an hour. It's very inspiring. The first time I read it, I realized that my hourly rate for accounting services should be $1,000 an hour. My time is worth $1,000 an hour in my accounting company, based on how much I'm willing to work and how much I need to produce. That was a huge aha moment, because if you think about your accountant, they probably charge between $300 to $450 an hour. Can you relate? And they probably don't answer your calls or your emails, right? So what if you paid them more, but they're actually responsive? So this book really helped me realize that for our labor rate in our window cleaning, gutter cleaning company, $75 an hour was not going to cut it. $125 an hour is not going to cut it. $250 an hour, we're getting closer. Anybody think I'm crazy? $250 an hour? No. And so what is your average labor rate?
$500 an hour.
How much does it cost you to turn on a truck? This is one of my favorite things with plumbing.
Well, it cost me over $100 to show up and ring the doorbell.
It costs him, out of his pocket, over $100 to go to somebody's house and ring the doorbell. That's not talking to them. That's not doing anything for them. That's just turning on the vehicle, driving to their house, getting out of the vehicle, and ringing the doorbell, $100. Anybody else have a handle on how much it costs you to turn on your vehicles? Are you curious now? Do you want to go look? Okay, so I do have a workshop about calculating a break-even point. So if you need help calculating that as a class, that will help you. And the QR code has not been working great, so there's a bit.ly there that you can take a picture of if you need to. And this is an exercise that I'd like you to go through every single month, because your prices are going up in some really weird ways. All right, so now that we're getting to a place where we feel like we're pricing correctly, we can actually start raising our prices. But we have to know that we're actually charging enough to cover our costs. We have to have an understanding of what are the various factors that go into our pricing. And once we know that, then we can start raising our prices.
What do you think keeps most people from raising their prices?
Fear. They're priced based on their market. They're priced based on their competitors. And having been a small business accountant for almost 20 years, I can tell you that your competitors have no idea what they're doing, and they're probably not making any money. So why would we charge like they charge? A race to the bottom? Then we'd all go out of business together. Doesn't that sound fun? No, I have no interest in what my neighbor's charging. It's based on me and my vehicles and my team and my perks and my benefits and my culture. Jeff has some fun things that he's built into his recruiting and culture. I love this idea of a day off a month to go on a field trip. That's so good. At Likes Accounting Company, we encourage our staff to volunteer. We pay them to volunteer every single month. At Jeff Likes Windows, we pay them to volunteer every single week. We think about what are our core values and how can we instill that in our people and build community, right? And hopefully if we build community, then they'll stay with us longer, we'll have a lower turnover rate, a higher retention rate. These things cost money. It costs me money to send people I'm paying to go volunteer for free. I have to build that into my pricing. I have to factor that in when I'm thinking about my labor rate. I have to factor that in when I'm thinking about labor efficiency. Raise your hand if you measure labor efficiency in your company. It's something I think I want to start talking about more because that's even lower hanging fruit than pricing, but that's not today's talk. So why we should raise our prices is because it affords us the opportunity to pay for nicer things, right? You can actually up your vehicle game. We just went through rebranding things, Tony, for costing me an arm and a leg. And by costing me, I mean we invested in our brand, and now we have these beautiful vehicles and these beautiful uniforms and these beautiful hats. We got everybody winter gear because it turns out gutter cleaning. Has anybody experienced this? You buy them a nice polo, and then it's cold and wet and muddy, and they cover it up. And then you take these team pictures, and everybody looks like hoodlums that are dirty. Can anybody relate to this? Jeff took all of our staff, they went Christmas shopping for Toys for Tots. So everybody got $50, and they went and they got gifts for these kids together in December. And at the end of the day, Jeff's dressed like Santa, and the guys have their Santa hats on, and they're standing in front of this beautiful van, and not a single one of them is wearing anything with my brand on it. Because it's a cold, rainy day, and they've forgotten their rain gear. So we invested in soft shells and fleeces and rain equipment, all with embroidered branding, and we said beanies. We said, you have to come to work and you have to look like you work for us every day. And if there's something that you need to feel warmer and more comfortable, let us know, we'll order it. But no more pictures dressed as Santa and looking like a hoodlum, right? We have to come to work clean every single day, on brand. These things cost money, so this is why we raise our prices. So when should you raise your prices? Today, yeah, I like that. Or yesterday, yeah. Right? We're behind today. Every year, your prices need to go up. This is not something that should be like, oh, I'm noticing gas prices are going up, or oh, the unemployment rate, I'm having a hard time attracting people. This needs to be exercised every single year. You need to have a system in your company to raise your prices. Everybody agree? Who has a system to raise the prices every year? It's not a very common thing, but it's a pretty easy thing to put in practice. You set a reminder on your calendar, you block off an hour, you increase your prices in your price book, and you're done. Every year. If you keep up with inflation, you don't even have to write a letter or notify your people. It's a cost of doing business, you raise your prices every year. Okay? I was at a talk recently, and somebody said they've gotten in the habit, whenever they get a price increase letter from a vendor or a supplier, they just include it in a nice email to all of their clients. And they say, well, we just got another one of these. Our prices are going up, so unfortunately, we need to raise our prices. Now, I have a friend named, we're not quite there yet. This is kind of haunting, and every time I get this talk, I have to change that number, and it just keeps going up. This is a 12-month rolling period cost of inflation across all goods in the United States, 8.5%. So if you've not raised your prices by 8.5%, where's that coming from? Anyone?
What was the question?
My pocket.
If you didn't raise your prices, where does it come from when inflation's at 8.5? Yeah. And gas, are we gonna talk about gas? California, so we can talk about gas. Right? Gas is up like 60%. Other transportation, goods, materials, aluminum. Anybody want to guess what their costs are up? Anybody know? 40%. And so when you go to raise your prices, how much do you raise them?
20%.
Really?
60% of material costs.
Okay. That's a lot of math. How does that work? So our prices are up 40%, 60% material costs.
Cover the spread.
Yeah,
Put a little something more on top for you.
that's right.
What's that?
Yeah, so I heard prices are up 40%, I raised my prices 20%. It's good, but we're still behind 20%. Prices are up 40%, I raised my prices 50%. I'm still not quite cutting it. If I want to factor in my profit, yeah.
But if your material cost is only 20% of your whole job, and it only goes up, even if it jumped 50%, that's only going to 30, but you could still buy 20, you're still gonna be up 10.
Right, so you take material percentage times 5. and
Don't
that's
forget sales tax too.
Is your sales tax going up?
No, but I mean, it's back.
Yeah. So let's just use some simple math. Let's say our prices are going up 20%. I think we should be raising our prices by 35%. And I keep an eye on making sure that everything's working correctly by watching my conversion rate. Raise your hand if you know your conversion rate. Can somebody shout out some examples for install, what a good conversion rate is or what your conversion rate is?
We track ADL more so.
Okay.
Conversion rate, it's like, you line that with like closing ratio.
Yeah.
Good is 30, 35, 40% is phenomenal. Anything above that, you're a rock star sales.
And what's bad?
10, 15, but it depends. See, it's all relative.
It is all
If
relative.
you're selling at a really high rate, who cares about the conversion rate? I mean, you care, but it's more so ADL. How much money am I getting per week? Every time I touch a home, what's the average dollar I take away from that home? I might not close you or you, but the third house I do. And so conversion rate really isn't as important if you're selling at a price.
I feel like it's still really important, but I'm going to throw this up here so that we can all know. This is how I define conversion rate: total invoices divided by total estimates. Does anybody do this math in their company? So for every estimate I go out and do, how many of them do I actually close that turns into an invoice that is dollars in my bank account? We're on the same page? Okay, so for us, conversion rate does change dramatically when we change our pricing. But the interesting thing is the better we get at articulating our value, the better we get at our sales scripts. I'm definitely going to be buying whatever Colin's putting together over there with your sales
you get it for
process.
free, so.
Okay, great. So the better we get at our sales process, the higher our conversion rate goes. Then we raise our prices again. And we figure out new targets. So for us, it's a game against ourselves. And I like to leverage technology to calculate it for me. Now, I do not use ServiceTitan, but there are at least 2 people in this room that do. And ServiceTitan is just full of all sorts of wonderful KPIs in your company. Jeff and I use a product called Responsivid, and Responsivid has a couple of very simple reports that we can run. Yesterday, we heard from Justin, who was talking about Service Autopilot. Same thing, lots of reports. I think they're using Customer Factor, and I'm pretty sure it's there in your dashboard as well. So whatever the CRM is that you're using, it's such bad quality, it can calculate your closing rate for you, it can calculate your conversion rate for you. And what I like to do is just watch it, because it tells me how much I can afford to raise my prices and still bring in the same bottom line. So I make sure I price correctly, I watch my conversion rate, and I can learn a lot about my company. So unfortunately, you can't really see this, but each line represents a month. And on the far right-hand side is the conversion rate. And the arrows represent when I did big price increase hikes. And I can watch my conversion rate go down. And then I can watch my sales team get better as it goes back up. And then I raise my prices, my conversion rate goes down, sales team gets better, it goes back up. And I get to watch these cycles of how I'm selling, and I get less afraid of raising my prices. Because I was very afraid to raise my prices. What if my customers were mad? What if they stopped calling? What if they started using, a cheaper guy who didn't have any insurance and was going around with a bucket and a scoop, right? $99 guy. So for me, watching the conversion rate gave me confidence to feel like I can afford to raise my prices. Jeff recently got really upset because we did a pretty big price increase in December. That's when I broke our price book. But we did a very significant price increase, and he said, I don't think it's working. I'm really worried. Like, the phone just doesn't seem to be ringing as much. I was able to show him total sales, how it was working. I was able to show him conversion rate. And we were able to watch that over a bigger trend. If you look at it just for this month, it doesn't really mean anything, but when you look at it compared to last month, or the same month last year, these numbers start to tell a story. And that's why Brent asked me to come, is he wanted me to help you see how you can tell a story with the numbers of your company. So how do we raise our prices? Anybody have any good strategies that they've used recently?
Or you just do it.
But how?
And so the quote was, like last month I would have sent a quote out for $2,000. This month I'm sending out a quote for $2,200, and I'm not explaining to the customer who didn't get the quote last month, they're just getting it this month, so they have no idea that I raised my prices, so I just do it.
And the logistics of the how, I think Tommy's about to say, price book, right?
Well, what we do is every time we get a price increase, within the same hour, Adam goes in, we hit a button, so we have a macros, and adjusts our price book. And then we have a meeting with all of our staff via Zoom and say, everybody just got a raise. Because when we raise our prices, if our material cost goes up 20%, I raise the customer's price 20%, which means we're getting a huge raise because they make money in sales of materials. But we got to be transparent with the guys, and a lot of the guys say, man, this is crazy. We were charging $10 for this, now we're charging 60. And I say, hey, tell the customer you don't make the price that we do. And then you got to watch your discounting rates too, because that's where the guys discount too much, and that's where you got to be careful.
You have to be careful. I think the goal here is to do it with confidence. Tommy doesn't have a meeting. He doesn't like talk it over with everybody. He does it. Ben just does it. They update their price book. It's done. And then they communicate it to the staff. And they communicate it with confidence, right? Hey, great news. Everybody's getting a raise. Great news. We just raised our prices. Guess what? You can do that with your customers too. Great news. We're raising your prices to be able to continue to serve you. Right? To be able to continue to deliver the same quality service that you have come to know and you deserve. Good news. Not bad news. Good news. You need to have faith in your service. When we have faith in our service, when we have faith in our math, when we have faith in our team, raising our prices becomes less scary. Because we want to be here next year. We want to be here in 10 years. We want to be here. And we can only do that if we're priced correctly. Everybody agree? Everything flows from pricing. Everything flows from sales. This book really helped us build confidence around what we were offering to our clients. BREAKEVEN is a very short, quick read. It's a parable. But this idea that I am serving my customer by delivering value, and I'm unapologetically going to price what I need, charge what I need to in order to cover the cost to deliver that value. Okay, so calculator, $100,000 business. If we raise our prices by 35%, our $100,000 business times 35% turns into a $135,000 business. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty easy. You raise your prices, your gross goes up. An extra $35,000 is what we have at the end of the year. We like to blame people sometimes when we raise our prices, so I do have a price increase letter here if you'd like. Talk about the cost of insurance and the cost of supplies and materials. It also says the good news, we're going to be here to serve you next year. Good news, we're going to be around for a long time. So if you'd like those verbiage, you're welcome to steal it and put your branding on it. Okay, everybody going to go home and raise their prices? We're doing it today? Show of hands.
Did it yesterday.
Did it yesterday? Good.
I did it too. I stuck in after group yesterday, I raised all my prices and that was it.
Good job. Good job. Okay, so next step is bundling services. I feel like this is obvious, but it wasn't obvious to me, and it took me a while to figure out the best way to do this. But if we are already going to a house to sell them a service that they've requested, why are we not offering them all the solutions that they need that we know that we can give them? It's so weird, but we sell window cleaning and gutter cleaning and solar panel cleaning. And it used to be if you called my company for a window cleaning quote, that's what I'd come out and do. I'd give you a window cleaning quote. Well, every house has gutters. Why was I not giving them a gutter cleaning quote? Most houses in California have solar panels. Why was I not giving them a solar panel cleaning quote? Well, because the customer only asked for the windows. Well, I had this mindset shift about 3 years ago. I was like, well, maybe they don't know I do gutters. I mean, our company used to be branded Jeff Likes Clean Windows. How would you know we clean gutters? Now, very cleverly, Jeff Likes Clean Windows and gutters. Not gonna add the and solar panels, right? So they didn't know that I cleaned gutters. And when they found out, they'd get upset. Well, why didn't you tell me that you could have cleaned my gutters before you cleaned my windows? And now if I clean my gutters, my windows are gonna mess me. So I started to realize, hey, it's my job to educate my customer about the services that my company offers. Can anybody relate to this? Can I hear what industries we have? Is it gutter install only? Or like Colin, is it siding? Anybody doing it with roofing, painting,
Yeah, roofing.
roofing,
Under deck drainage,
under deck drainage, other things?
Screen enclosures.
Screen closures?
Got a junk removal business.
Oh, those are profitable. I like those. Those are good businesses. Okay,
drain tile,
okay. So when a customer calls you, what does a typical proposal look like? They called you for gutters. What do we sell them?
everything.
Everything, every time. You're just presenting options. Their house needs all those things. We can educate them about how they need all those things. They didn't know about underground drains. They didn't know about drain tiles. They didn't know about enclosures. It's our job to educate our clients and to share with them how we can help them. This is not slimy sales. This is us presenting opportunities to make their lives easier, right? So when we bundle our services, a very magical thing happens, and this is one of my favorite KPIs in our business, is you can watch how your average ticket changes. Does everybody track their average ticket in their company? This is how I calculate my average ticket, and everybody does it slightly differently. And for the service ticket folks in the room, I know you can show me from every service like 10 different ways for the past 10 minutes, but total income divided by number of jobs for a defined period of time. So you could do this for yesterday. How much money did your company make yesterday? And how many jobs did you do? You could do it for last week. Last week, how much income did we make? How many jobs did we do? You can do it for last month. But this is a very important metric to know in your company because it makes it a game against ourselves. So just like conversion rate, that gives me confidence, like I know my team is now selling at a more successful rate, and I know that I have confidence in my pricing because we will be able to continue to sell at the higher prices. Same with average ticket. When I first calculated our average ticket, it was $188. So embarrassed to say that out loud. $188 for a gutter cleaning. We were practically the $99 guy. Now our average ticket hangs out in the $1,400 range. Yeah.
For gutter cleaning?
For gutter cleaning and window cleaning, because I bundle them together. I don't ever want to clean windows by themselves anymore. And everybody needs to clean their gutters. Do you agree?
No.
Okay, so when you're selling a gutter install job, are you selling a gutter cleaning maintenance package?
Typically a gutter cover.
A gutter cover?
But then a maintenance package to brush it off twice a year.
There you go. Who's not doing that? I know, that's a tough question. Okay, who is doing that? Who's selling something else with their gutter cleaning? Good, I like that. And it's important to remember when you go to the house, even though they called for gutter install, they don't know that they need covers. They don't know that they need the drain thing, whatever. And they don't know these things, so you have to educate them. And when you do, it's really fun to watch how it will impact your average ticket. I personally am a very lazy accountant. I don't like to calculate these things manually, so I use technology. Same screenshot of response of it. It's a report. And it is a game against myself. So at the bottom, you can kind of see like 188, and the top, you can kind of see 1400. But I can watch as those trends go up. I can watch as my sales team remembers, because we have to coach them and teach them. They remember to sell all the services over and over again. So for gutter cleaning at $100,000 level, and I know, I'm sorry for the install people, you're like, we're not doing anything for $225. But for gutter cleaning, a $225 job, I could do 2 a day usually. Now, we're very safety conscious because we're California, so we're roping up and we're strapping in for every single job. And before, I could do 2 jobs a day at $225. I love this little calculator, okay? So $450 a day. Anybody remember those days? It's a really long time ago, I bet. But interestingly, you'll see, You do 2 jobs a day, 5 days a week, 45 weeks a year. I actually liked Tim's 40 weeks a year better yesterday. I traveled 30 weeks last year. I don't really like to work. I like to travel. But in this example, we're going to say 45 weeks a year. We have 450 a day times 5 days a week times 45 weeks a year, $100,000 company. So that's what you were averaging a day when you had a one-man crew doing $100,000 a year. Now, for those of you that live in like the Northeast, it might not be 45 weeks a year. How many weeks a year can you work in the gutter world? 9 months? New England, so 36-ish. Yeah, 40 if you're lucky. Okay. Maybe that's why Tim did 40. Is that why you did it? Are you in the Northeast?
Just experience that side of it in the Northeast, but I also know people take vacations, and I know people take time off for kids and spring breaks and such.
Okay, well, so if, what's that? Weather. We've been killed this spring. We've had rain on Thursday of the week, 5 weeks in a row. Nobody wants their windows cleaned when it's gonna rain on Thursday of the week for 5 weeks in a row. So Monday through Wednesday tries to cancel for 5 weeks in a row. It's brutal. Friday, everybody wants their windows cleaned before the weekend. It's very weird. I don't like weather sometimes. So if we were able to do 2 jobs a day at $365, does everybody agree you probably could have done the same number of jobs a day at the higher ticket? That's the cool thing about adding an extra service to that ticket is you're already at the house. You've already greeted Mrs. Jones. You've already rolled out whatever equipment you need to roll out. You've already done the chit-chatting and the small talking and the building rapport. And you're at the same job, so you need to clean up at the end, right? And do the same chit-chatting. By adding one more service, you can probably do the same amount of jobs per day. Now, if your average ticket, can somebody give me a gutter install average ticket? Is it like 12 grand?
2 grand.
2 grand. Okay, so you're doing 1 a day?
No, like 2 or 3.
2 or 3 a day. Okay, good. So this still applies. So if you can go from 2 grand to 2,500, you could probably still do 2 a day. Do we agree? Yeah. And the day's not going to be that much longer, right? Okay. So if we do 2 jobs a day at $365 a job, now we're doing $730 a day. Watch this magic. $730 a day, 5 days a week, 45 weeks a year. Now we're at $164. The days might be slightly longer, but not really. Same number of customers, deeper relationships, happier customers. Okay, so this is an extra $63,000 a year for that little teeny tiny $100,000 company. If we could implement in our $3 million companies, do you think that would make a big impact? I like numbers that are small and easy to keep track of. So I'm just gonna do this math real quick. So we're at $164,000. We started at 101. That's the $63,000 increase for the year. We already did our 35% price increase, right? So we've got 63 plus 35. We're already at $98,000 more per year for that little teeny tiny $100,000 company. And what I like is as your average ticket goes up, eventually you do less jobs. What if you take that $2,000 gutter install and you add siding to it? Now what is it, Colin? Is it like 14,000?
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
That's okay, that's fine.
Please forgive me, Megan.
$2,000 gutter install, I add siding to it. How much is it now?
You add siding to it? Oh god, my average ticket in siding was like 35K.
35K. So I went from 2,000 to 37,000. That's pretty impactful, right? Do you think I could do less jobs if I added siding to most of my gutter installs? Anybody do roofs? Okay, how much is an average roof install?
I'm in a weird market, okay, 50, 60,000.
Okay, and an average gutter install?
For me, 6,200.
Okay, so it went from 6,200 to 66,200-ish. Yeah, so we can do less jobs. This is my goal for Jeff Likes Windows this year, is to do less jobs, but to make more money and spend less time. Doesn't that sound pretty cool? And it's actually quite simple. The higher our ticket, the fewer clients we need. It also means less time setting up because we have less chatty Cathys that we're meeting every day, right? Less time cleaning up. Less time driving and chit-chatting and talking. We're saving on the drive time because How much do we make when we're driving the vehicle, when we're paying somebody to drive our vehicle?
0.
0. Actually,
Negative.
negative 100, right? Negative. Okay, so drive time, less wear and tear on our vehicles, less money on gas. We're seeing some of these rewards here. Good. I really loved this book to help me realize that I could actually make more by working for less people. This is by Mike Michalowicz. Mike Michalowicz is also the guy that said, good news, we're raising our prices. Pumpkin plan. Has anybody read it? Yes. Have you pumpkin planned your business? Have you pumpkin planned your business?
No.
No. How about you, Colin?
Terrible, right?
No. I don't have all the statistics in front of me. I should have, but I pumpkin planned my accounting company 3 times. And when I pumpkin plan my business, this is what I do. I fire 80% of my clients, 80, and it creates space for higher value clients. I have more deep relationships. I have bigger clients. I actually made 45% more the next year. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of alcohol. My staff, they bring me drinks, like I hide in my office and I drink and I call clients. And I'm really sorry, Mrs. Jones, but I'm not gonna be able to do your taxes anymore. I need to refer you to my friend Matthew. He's gonna take great care of you, and I'm wishing you the best of luck. Thanks for all of your business. We can do this with our gutter companies, but we don't. Nobody talks about firing clients, but a lot of our clients are actually costing us money. And this book gives you lots of spreadsheets, I'm a spreadsheet nerd, about how you can decide which clients are a good fit for your company and which clients are a bad fit. Remember, accountant talks more about feelings than numbers. Anybody have clients that drive them crazy because they're terrible, right? And you have to blacklist them? You should not be doing work for them. How about for your staff? We had a customer beat up our CSR the other day, and she called us in tears. And we're like, we are so sorry. She will never do business with our company again. We called the customer and said, we're sorry, we're not the best fit for you. Here's the name of somebody else. It's a pretty big customer too, but it wasn't worth it. So Pumpkin Plan helped me get confidence. I don't have to be the company for everybody. I don't have to work for everybody. And I can actually be happier if I worked for less people. This is a hard thing to wrap our head around, and trust me, it was very hard to do. But it went so well with Likes Accounting, I did it again the next year. 80%. I saw my top line double the year after because I created space to provide better service for my customers. So the third year I did it, I went 90%. And we're still working through that, but I'm pretty excited about the opportunities that are coming. So I encourage you, I challenge you to think about how you choose to make money in your company and who you choose to work for and who you choose to make your staff, your team work for, and see if you can kind of disrupt that a little bit, mix it up. This book will give you a lot of confidence around that. Yes, sir.
Would you raise your prices with them and let them fire themselves if they didn't want to go to where you wanted them to be at that point?
It's a really good question. In my experience, it doesn't work. So I doubled my prices before I pumpkin planned them. I only lost 10%.
How many phone calls did you get complaining about your new prices still?
What's that?
How many of them still call to complain and ask questions about the new pricing?
Less than 3.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
better than I thought.
Yeah.
No,
It's all about how you communicate the value. And to me, what this book taught me was I didn't want to work for them. So why was I going to ask them to pay me more money just so I could present them more? It wasn't a money problem. It was a time problem. Anybody hiring? Only 4 of you? 5 of you? Well, you didn't raise your hand, Tim. Who's hiring? Raise your hand if you're hiring. That's more like it. Okay, so if you are hiring, that means you're short-staffed, right? That means your phone's still ringing, you still have people that want to give you money, and you actually don't have enough staff to service all those calls. Is that true for anybody in this room? Yes. Okay, so why would we work for bad customers? Right? Why would we not raise our prices? Why would we be afraid of charging more? It's such a weird mindset thing. We're like, no, because this is how we do it. This is what we have to do. No, you don't have to do it. You're short-staffed. Raise your prices. Okay. So step 3, we're getting there. This one I almost took out yesterday because, again, for service and maintenance, it makes sense, but optimizing our routes. Now, I'm glad to hear that for a gutter install, you're doing 2 to 3 jobs a day because this is still relevant. We're making negative money when we're in the truck driving between jobs. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Do we see how it's negative money? Like we're paying somebody to do that? Okay. All right, so if we could optimize that drive time, we'll be more efficient, right? We'll have more money. We'll spend less time driving, which is kind of obvious. Less money on gas. For us, this one wasn't so obvious, but we're in California, remember, overtime over 8 hours. Less overtime paid out. It was incredible. It's like secret sauce, like holy cow, I don't have to pay overtime because we're going to less places. We can do more in one day. And my hack, again, use technology. This is not a commercial for ResponsiBid. There are a lot of other products out there like ServiceTitan or Customer Factor that can track this for you. But when we started optimizing our route, this is how much we saved on the bottom line, 7%. 7% of not driving all around, really not being efficient. And remember, we're densely populated. So for us, we don't want to go 20 miles this way if we could stay here. We don't want to go 50 miles that way if we could stay here. So really looking at my calendar like a puzzle and optimizing how we're going to be driving around to service everybody that needs service done. 7% savings on the bottom line. And this is kind of how we ended up there. Our gas is 3% of our gross. Does this resonate with anybody? You know what your fuel cost is? Is it about 3%? 4? 3. Okay, and our weighted payroll is 37%. Does this resonate with anybody? Okay, so when we saved, so $100,000, I'm spending 40% on my cost of people and my cost of gas. If I can save 7% of that, I save $2,800.
Like, what were you doing to optimize that we're not thinking about? I missed that.
So all of my routes are scheduled based on the previous job.
Right.
And my pricing is actually dynamic based on drive time. So if I have to fit a job in and it's going to take me more than 5 miles out of where I was, I'm going to charge the customer for that. It's going to be built into the pricing that they agree to. So I call it smart scheduling because now I am making money to drive. I'm factoring it into my ticket costs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already sold the job. I don't think we can go back and charge customer just because that day you're not going to work it in my route.
Oh, so I do it when I sell the job. Like when I'm selling the job, I'm calendaring them.
Yeah, I don't think we're scheduling, like gutter guys are scheduling colors with what type of machine, with like what type of skill set. So there's a whole bunch of other things that I think we're all already doing. I don't know that we're not optimizing 7%. We're every day we're trying to figure out the smartest way to optimize that way. I was looking for the hack. I didn't see it.
Oh, the hack's there. It's the software. Go ahead, Tommy.
18 months ago, I decided to just add a miscellaneous materials fee of 3.5%. And I get 1 out of 100 clients that mention something, I just give it back to them. In total, that's going to add $4.5 million of revenue this year.
I don't know if you guys know who the guy in the corner is, but that's Tommy Mello. He's our keynote speaker this afternoon. How much are you going to do this year? 151 million. So his numbers are a little different than the $100,000 company. Like him adding 3% to every ticket is going to add 4.5 million to his bottom line. But I think what he was trying to say was that by adding that 3.5% miscellaneous, when you're selling the job, now you can drive wherever you need to drive. It's affording you more space. By adding a fuel surcharge to your ticket when you're selling that job, it's going to afford you more space to be able to drive to get there, right? Did we hear what Tommy said? When the customers complained, and I'm sure you can even tell us statistically how many did, but when the customers complained, he just said, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jones, you're right. You're a very loyal customer. We'll take that off for you. How easy is that? And this is not us being sneaky. This is us factoring in our costs. This is us dealing with the variables that we don't know if we can deal with. Now, your comment about equipment and color codes and zones, I am not good at that. I have never had an admin or a dispatcher who was good at that. With window cleaning, the calls we get is, but my daughter's getting married on Saturday and I just need my windows cleaned tonight. You've been coming for like 14 years, can't you fit me in? Well, of course you want to fit her in. Like, you're going to fit her in. And then you're going to send your crew 60 miles out of their way to fit in Mrs. Jones, right? Or when we did pressure washing, remember California, we're not allowed to pressure wash anymore as of like 2 months ago. It's a really sad place. But I love it. It's a good place. But no more pressure washing. But when we did pressure wash, we'd have to load the pressure washer. And if we were doing gutter cleaning that day, we'd have to load the gutter cleaning equipment. If we're doing window cleaning, so we have the same problem. And we've learned based on skill set that you can actually set that up with your computer, and AI will help optimize and find the right routes. And the software we use is Responsive Service Titan, I'm sure has the same rules for routing and scheduling and dispatching. So to me, it's called smart scheduling, and it's basically the computer gives my dispatcher a smiley face. So green means good, yellow means not ideal, but it's gonna be okay. Red means not great, and if we can't make up our costs for that job, it won't even present an option. So she has a closed calendar, and she only gets green, yellow, and red to schedule. And it's pretty cool. And that's how we get 7%. So the cool thing about this last hack is we're not really making more, but we're spending less. And so this is usually the cost of software, $2,800. So for the person who said yesterday, I'm still not using a CRM, I hope that you signed up for a CRM. Really, Ben, our influencer?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm an influencer, I'm not smart.
No, that's okay. But like, we gotta get you on a CRM,
We
man.
did $2 million last year with fucking Google Calendar. I keep swearing, I'm sorry. I'm just doing it the hard way because I'm dumb.
I take it back. You can be our influencer. You're honest and vulnerable and real. That was good. I'm also going to tell you, based on my very limited accounting knowledge of your company, you can afford software, Ben. Okay, so we're going to do, so the monthly subscription of an average software that can help you with these smart scheduling or calculating these metrics is $229 a month times 12 months for the year. You're less than your gas savings of having smart schedules. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so I said we were going to turn a $100,000 company. We were going to bring in an extra $100,000. I'm going to remind you how we did it. We raised our prices by 35%. Now, maybe you need to raise them by more or less. We started bundling our services. We stopped giving Mrs. Jones just a bid for the one thing she asked. We included all the things that she needs, right? $63,000 more. Then we started paying attention to where we were going and how much we were driving and how much we were charging. Maybe we added a miscellaneous fee. Maybe we added a fuel surcharge fee. We increased another $2,800 in efficiency. And here we are, $100,800. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so one more book that I like, and I think this is just a little on the nose. Sorry, Chuck, I know you don't like, nobody has said the joke. Andrew, can you say the joke? Yeah, nobody shouted that at Chuck while he was giving us all his terrible gutter jokes yesterday. Okay, so Delivering Happiness, we were talking about driving, so I put this on here, but it's actually a great book. Tony Hsieh talks about how to build that great customer experience, that great journey, and that helps us sell with more confidence and have more confidence in our product. Bren asked me to talk because he wanted me to encourage you and inspire you to look at your numbers. Numbers are scary. They're hard. Math is hard. This is not something that we like to do as business owners, but it is the key to your success. You will not be successful if you blindly price things. With this inflation market, you will be out of business. I'm very sorry to say, but it's true. You have to pay attention to your numbers. You have to know them. You have to feel them. You have to have a gut check of what your break-even point is on a monthly basis. Otherwise, you will end up behind. I want you to really know your numbers. And I'm going to give you some really easy starting points. So I don't expect you to know every number in your company off the top of your head. I'm married to a man that's allergic to math and spreadsheets, but he does know 5 numbers on a daily basis, right? Gross receipts, loaded labor cost, average ticket, conversion rate, net profit percentage. I challenge you to write those down and go find them today. And then make it a game against yourself. Nobody cares what your competition's doing, and improve them. One day at a time, one step at a time. Pay attention to them and make them better. Use knowing your numbers to your benefit. This is no longer a crutch. You can do this. Everybody knows what their sales were last year. Every single person in this room. A lot of you knew what your net profit percentage was last year. I'm just asking you to get to know 3 more numbers in your business, and I guarantee it will change your life. Average ticket, conversion rate, loaded labor percentage. Set goals and push yourself. Did everybody hear John yesterday? And he was saying accountability was the key to success. Writing down a goal on a piece of paper, looking at it every day and taking actions to meet that goal will change your life. Ben, you gotta leverage technology. We gotta get rid of the Google Calendars. We have to stop doing spreadsheets to try to guess what we think our break-even point is. There's really smart technology out there. Encourage you to use it. Price correctly, raise your prices, bundle your services, optimize your routes. 4 simple steps to doubling your business. Know your numbers. And millennial hacks, read books. I think, Colin, you had like 5 book recommendations in that talk.
Yeah.
I think I had 4 or
3 or
5.
4.
I'm sure Tommy's going to say like 20. How many books a week do you read? A couple. He's a busy guy. You can listen to them if you need to. Leverage the technology. It is your friend. Don't be afraid of it. Make friends. That's what we're here for, right? Tonight we're going to a concert. Make friends. Get an accountability buddy. Keep improving, and then do something about this. I hate giving talks where people get like pumped up and they're like, that was great, I want to go do, and then they don't do anything with it. So we're going to take a minute. We started by taking deep breaths. We're not going to do that. We're going to write down one thing that you're going to change in your company based on this talk that you just had. One thing. Here's some easy examples. I'm just going to leave these up here in case you need a cheat. Everybody have it? One thing? Okay, now I want you to put a deadline on it. When will you do that by? Be realistic. We've got more beer to drink tonight. Okay, calendar it. Put it on the Google Calendar, Ben. When are you going to do this? Carve off the hour, carve off the 2 hours. This is how we get things done. We make a commitment to ourselves. We set a deadline. We create space, and then we get it done. That's how you will change and improve your company. This is always the longest part of awkward silence. Okay, with this one small action, how will that change your year? That one action that you just wrote down, what will happen to your business when you make time to do that? Will it double? Will you be able to afford that new truck? Will you be able to pay your staff to do cool things? Will you be able to upgrade your website or your branding or your winter gear? What will the impact be? Okay, I'm going to have you write down one more thing on this piece of paper, and then we'll wrap this up. I need to write down one thing you're going to stop doing. Stop making excuses. Stop feeling bad about raising your prices. What was the me thing? Me, you had like the disease of me. Stop blaming your market. Stop playing the victim.
Stop guessing.
Stop guessing. I have to say, though, it drives me crazy. Jeff is a really good guesser. He's terrible at math, but when he tells me something, it almost always checks out. His gut is dead on. But guessing is hard to measure, right? It's hard to track. It's hard to like celebrate those improvements and those wins. Okay, I'm going to put this sheet up here. Stop working for free. Stop working for negative money. Stop creating a job. And start doing something about it. Paying attention, making friends, reading books, paying attention to your money. It's your money. Nobody will ever care about it like you. You will never be able to hire it out or replace it. It's your money. Learn your numbers. And remember what you'll do with double the profits this year. Remember what you do with an extra $100,000 because we just gave you a roadmap and it's very achievable. It's very easy. I'd like to thank you for being a good audience. I know this is not very fun to talk about money, but thank you very, very much. And I make a donation for every talk that I give, and I was inspired by Chuck's organization last night. So Chuck donates to Elevating Connections, and for $75, you can help a girl like this get a backpack at a summer camp. $75. So that's a link to donate to Elevating Connections. I've made a donation. I saw Tommy make a donation yesterday. Chuck, how much did we raise last night? $2,400. Thank you very much. And if you have questions, this is my personal email. It takes me 3 days to get back to you. So if I don't hear from you right away, that's why. But I encourage you to email me. Thanks for being a good audience.